All right, so we're gonna do a little field dressing tutorial here. I got a nice fat cow that I just shot, and it's actually not a bad hike out, so I'm gonna go ahead and save the hide on this one. And so there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. I'm gonna do what's called a gutless method, so I don't need to spill the guts out. One common way is to come right up the spine and just split the hide right up the spine and then peel everything back. And that's a really easy way if you don't worry about the hide. But like I said, with this particular one, it's a fairly easy pack out. And so I'm gonna save the hide. And so what I'm gonna do on this one is I'm gonna split it up the belly in more of the traditional way, which you may have probably been exposed to before. Now, elk are just big animals. And so a little mechanical advantage helps a lot. So the first thing I'm going to do, go right down the inside of these legs, right up the other side. Now you don't need to worry about all this unless you're going to get in here and save the sinew, which I might do. When you're splitting this hide open, you always want to cut from the inside out. You don't ever want to cut from the outside in, because when you do that, you cut a bunch of hair and that gets all over your meat. There we go. So we've got a slit all the way across from one hock to the other. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here. I'm going to go right down this leg, down this other one. And again, I'm going to start up high because I'm going to go get the sinew out of there, but you don't have to go that high if you don't want that. Okay, so I've got both legs split. I just need to go up the neck and then split the belly. A lot of people throw the neck meat away, but it's one of the best parts on the animal, especially a bull. So I go around the neck now. Just gonna start laying this hide back. If you pull the hide, you can see there's a little bit of membrane between the muscle and the skin. Cut right along that, and that hide will fall right back. The neck is tough. The hide clings really tightly to the neck, but everywhere else, you can almost just pull it off. You don't even need to use the knife. So I'm gonna go around this hock here. Now I told you don't cut from the outside in, but around the legs it's kind of necessary. So you scribe around it like that and then just take and brush that old hair back. Now this hide where you're peeling it back right here, don't get that in the dirt. You want to lay that out all clean because you're gonna need something to lay these big chunks of meat on. Oh, I gotta split the belly. Forget about that. Be careful here. You don't want to pop that rumen, puncture those guts. Now these hocks will come off without, you don't have to have a saw or anything. If you come down below the big part, there's another little knobby piece right there. And if you feel, you can feel kind of a little recess in there. If you scribe right around that, you can just break this thing off. No saw or anything needed. Same thing on the front legs. So I'm going to do the same thing with this front leg here. I'm just going to scribe around. Take that off. There's no bone, there's nothing that attaches the shoulder to the body except for ligaments and muscles. And it doesn't matter if it's an elk, a deer, you know, everything's put together, everything from a moose to a mouse. So all you got to do is cut these muscles, attaching the shoulder to the chest, muscle and membrane. Lay that right down on that clean hide. And there we go. Very nice. So for the hindquarter, I'm just going to start right here. And you're going to run into the pelvis right down in here. You're just going to have to follow the bone. Right here, it's very easy to puncture into those guts, so be cautious about that. Just follow the abdominal wall. So right in here is that femoral artery, and it's going to get real bloody when you cut that. So what you're looking for is the socket, the ball socket for the hip. So that's the ball socket for the hip right there. There's a little tendon that runs right in the middle of it. When I cut that, this hip's gonna kind of lay back a little bit. See that? So now that we've got that, I'm just gonna have to start. Watch that. That's fat coming out of the abdominal cavity. You can feel the hip bone right here too. So you're just gonna go right around that, following as closely as you can. Okay. There we go. So the spine, of course, runs right here. So I'm just going to take my knife, go right down along this spine. So there's some membrane that covers that. If you can get that off, it'll make it a little easier. So that's all just nothing but membrane there that can be thrown out. No meat at all. So now, once you get that membrane off, you can see where that backstrap lays right up along those ribs there. You can actually see the ribs right there. So I'll start down here at the back. Just run your blade right along the ribs, and you're gonna get into the short ribs right here, so be careful you don't puncture through there. You can actually feel the ends of them. Man, that dark mahogany looking meat, oh, that just looks so good. Ain't no beef on the planet looks like that. It's like the difference between eating a homegrown tomato and a store-bought tomato. Ain't just not any comparison, really. Look at that. You just can't buy that in the store. So all this neck meat, I'm just gonna fillet right off of the vertebra. If it was a bull and I had a saw, I just saw a big slot out of there, because that neck roast with all those bones in there, that's a really good, it's one of my favorite cuts. If you cook it the right way, it's very, very good. Just gotta braise it low and slow for a long time. Basically the way I cooked everything out on Chilko Lake. Cooked stuff for like 8, 9, 10 hours. Bon appetit. Need a little salt. All right, so we've got everything off of one side. I went ahead and just took a couple of the ribs out and got the heart. Now, if you want to get the liver, you can go ahead and get the liver. There's no need to spill the guts. There's one more thing that I need to get from here. The short ribs are right here, and there's a tenderloin that lays right on the inside. So I'm gonna have to cut this, push those guts back, and then I can get in there and get that. Just be careful not to puncture that stuff in there. Now once you cut this, push these guts back, you can see that tenderloin laying right there. can be easy to cut yourself in here like this because you're kind of a little bit working blind a little bit. All right, so from here on out, you just do everything exactly the same. We're just gonna peel this hide back, lay it back there, and take the shoulder, take the hindquarter, take all the rib meat, the back strap, tenderloin off the inside, and load her up in game bags, and away you go. Here we go.